I'd love for you to
Yes.
talk about breadcrumbs and how to identify them and when to leave. And what I love, this is a quote that you ask people to question, and it's such a gold nugget. If I removed the hope of what could be, would I still want what they are giving me right now? And
Mm.
when I first heard that, I was like, ugh. I was thinking of the person the situationship I was in for 6 months. But then I was like, oh, like thinking of my marriage of almost eight
Uh,
years and
yeah.
relationship at 14. And it's like, wow, it's just such a really poignant question to ask ourselves.
And yeah, so I mean, like breadcrumbing is also one of those internet things where if someone's effort doesn't line up with our expectations of it, suddenly it becomes breadcrumbing. So it's very difficult, which is why I generally try to lean away from labels. But that one, of course, is just so socially apparent. I wanted to address it, and I've addressed it in many different ways. I think the most difficult thing about it is that it preys on the one thing that I don't think we should ever lose, which is hope, which is hope for more, which is hope that potential becomes reality. If we don't have that, we're operating from an incredibly draining perspective of cynicism and not believing in someone's merit in their words. So that's why it's so difficult that like someone's a breadcrumb just being a small piece of effort to keep you on the line and keep you interested. It's not enough to feed you fully. It probably doesn't match up with the energy and effort you give, but it's there and it's apparent and it's a thing and you can't ignore it because it's clearly effort, but it's not enough. And it preys on that thing. It preys on hope, the belief that okay, I'm dating this person. I like what I see. It's not quite enough, but like that's how relationships are. And I even talk in the book about, the idea that, you know, a lot of people have come to this, I call it struggle love in the book, the belief that all love is a struggle until it's not. That is every piece of relationship that we're in, every relationship that we're in is going to be something that we have to navigate from a perspective of giving in and negotiating and proving worth until finally we get the version that we love. If I just eat enough breadcrumbs, eventually I'll get the full feast. We've a lot of people, not because they're bad people or dumb or naive or anything, but because society and past partners have reinforced it. We think that all love is a struggle until it's not. And the result is I should be happy with what I have until they finally decide to give me the version that I deserve. And it's such a slippery slope that, of course, leads us to stick out relationships with someone who only has breadcrumbs to give, who isn't serious, or at the worst, not only isn't bought into us, but isn't bought into the idea of monogamy and commitment in the first place. So it's very difficult. But that question I have found is really powerful because it is an attempt to root ourselves in the present, to realize that yes, okay, people love in different ways. People love from different sources, right? People give what they tend to want to receive. People give with what their partner wanted to receive. We recognize that. We give some patience there and we communicate. But ultimately, that question of, if I removed hope for more, is what they're offering me good enough? It's a pretty sobering question. And I think if you've done some of the other work that I just referenced, having conversations, being a little bit patient and empathetic, because again, people can love you in their own way, but it doesn't align with how you want to be loved. Are you actually discussing that? I think that's the questions that's going to be like, okay, well, this is a crumb and it doesn't align with what I want. And from a personal ownership perspective, it also doesn't align with what I offer, reciprocity. Therefore, I probably need to move along. So, yeah, it's a combination of difficult things, and I hope people never lose their hope and their desire for potential because I think it's really, really important, especially in light of people nowadays having this mentality of the catch flights, not feelings. I only match energies. I think is a really wrong way to go about dating. So I hope people hang on to hope, but do it armed with a question like that.
I love it. And I find that, I've done this work for a long time. Obviously, practice mindfulness and self awareness and very aware of patterns and very aware
Yeah.
of blind spots of patterns. And so, like, just to talk a little bit further about this, like in this situationship, I was like, oh, okay, well, he's avoidant. So then I would, in order to extend the life of this thing where he clearly showed signs of not having a lot of capacity at the beginning, which at first I was like, oh, that's great because I don't want anything serious. I just need a distraction to enter back into this
Sure.
world, and he was a really good one. So but then I find myself manipulating, knowing that he's like an avoidant, and then, but that's a form of abandoning myself. So like I really want you to speak to a little bit about, just to encourage me and everybody listening, like to to not be afraid to fully show up as ourselves. And even though like I have a history of just like playing it cool to try and, just like seem low maintenance or whatever, just like we need to step into like fully what we need from day one to give to vet these people. You know what I mean? And like we're
Yeah.
gonna find the person that's okay for, and it's not going to be.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and again, it's easy for me to write these things, and it's also easy for me to do this from a male perspective, where it is expected of you to be assertive and clear and concise. Like I really try to be uh, acknowledging of gender differences and just differences in people. I will say though, like I am such a big advocate of people being high maintenance in the way that I describe it. I also am a big proponent of never doing the I only match energy. The whole purpose of dating is, in my mind, unless again you're just trying to enjoy and you don't have you're strictly trying to be casual and pass some time. Anything other than that, your whole job is to move someone from maybe into yes or no. And the only way to do that, well, the wrong way to do that, is to match their energy. And that's what so many people are trying to do, especially in light of trying to be chill and low maintenance, but also in this weird self-preservation way where they're like, well, let me see what you got. And then if it's good, I'll give you some more of what I've got. All that does is delay the inevitable, which is end up realizing they don't have anything. The best way to get data quicker is to give more quicker. And I always encourage people. I say you should be the one to try first, to love first, to be energetic first, to follow up first, because it gives you an immediate new lens to gauge their behavior against. And you'll very quickly realize if they're on your level or not. And that's why I'm always at odds with the I only match, the catch flights, not feelings, the I want to be chill. One of my best performing quotes, which reflects the fact that we know this and yet we don't do it because of so many different reasons. I wrote that, you're not meant to be low maintenance. You're meant to be high maintenance because you love a lot, you care a lot, and you should expect the same in return. If it's rooted in reciprocity, you're never too much or high maintenance. That cannot be the standard that we're applying to ourselves. We're using effort and we're using energy and we're using love and we're using trying first and we're using effort to gauge where they are. And in that sense, I think it's absolutely all right to go into a date, into a relationship, and exactly speak to what you're looking for in light of what you offer, right? It's not some weird lopsided, I deserve the world thing, but I'm not going to offer the world. Like it's always grounded. But in that sense, the endeavor is a very practical one. It is a fact-finding mission where you're not waiting for clarity, you're creating it for yourself. And, but again, it's we have the logic backwards. We think it's a self-preservation tactic where, that is sitting back and waiting, hoping that they'll change or hoping that, they'll take the charge and lead or something like that. But really, it just sets you up to waste more time. So in light of the most valuable asset we have, which is time, I say, create clarity for yourself by being the one who's willing to love first, not in a naive way, but in a way that says, let me see if this person is on the level and let me find out quickly so that I can stay or I can go. I think to me, it's that simple.